The disarming of the legendary Black Tiger unit. Vietnam War is a phrase that has become very familiar in the world from the middle of the 20th century to the present day. In the eyes of humans who love peace and freedom, and of those who have the right understanding of the war that took place in Vietnam, it is not a war between North and South, or an ideological war, as the media often mentioned. It was the wholly national defense war of the Army of the Republic of Vietnam, with the help of Allied forces against the aesthetic and evil communist alliance in the world to protect freedom, democracy, and human rights. It is a long battle between an angel on one side and a devil on the other. As for the Chinese Communist Party and the Vietnamese Communists, these used jungle theories to disguise themselves, flatter each other, and continue to indoctrinate and dégage to turn their gruesome crimes into communist paradise in the minds of gullible people living under the totalitarian regime. In that wholly national defense war, people witnessed much bloodshed and noble sacrifices of the army and people of the Republic of Vietnam and his allies to protect freedom and democracy. So many people lie down and lay still in the motherland of Vietnam, and the rest still nurture the will to continue fighting for the ideal of freedom. While Mr. Disarming QUAN, the young commander who fought bravely with his comrades in the frontline area of Quang Tri Province, was a witness to history. Today, he is still engaged in a long battle and still full of enthusiasm and national spirit, with a noble mission from God, which is to lead the ideological revolution to bring freedom, peace, and prosperity to Vietnam. Mr. Disarming QUAN was raised in the great love of Vietnamese motherland, a mother who, although she has full of wounds from the war spread by the communists, still protected and gave her children precious and sweet milk. He witnessed the war and understood the suffering and sorrow of the nation, as well as the origin and creator of it, with his heart circulating Lac Hong's blood. He also burned and boiled his will, loving mountains and rivers, but not harboring hatred but with love. Just wanted to end this war immediately in peace. He not only witnessed it, but also engaged in it, going to the fiercest place to share, agree with his compatriots and comrades, and find ways to prevent and end it while reducing and minimizing death, sacrifice, and suffering. He did one of the things. He was concerned about that time went through fierce battles with his comrades and made many important feats to make the war pause without harming comrades. These are myths, but they are true stories from his life. The famous reconnaissance and intelligence team in the Tactical Zone 1 and the Vietnam-Cambodia, the Laos border, with nickname Black Tiger, under the command of the Lieutenant Disarming QUAN, created a countless legends. In particular, the disarming of the unit at the end of the Vietnam War is a true story, full of miraculous and unique, that touches people's hearts. And at the end of February 1975, in the middle of the critical time of the war in Quang Tri, he then, with the rank of lieutenant, received orders to return Saigon urgently. There, he learned that he had to arrange for his family to evacuate to America. Meanwhile, the remaining 53 soldiers are still stationed at Fort Ong Do, near Kai San Base in the northernmost province of Quang Tri. Newspapers reported that the ARVN had already withdrawn its troops to Da Nang, which meant that his unit was stationed at the Ong Do fortress that had to be sacrificed. Other commanders, if they were good, would also ponder whether to go to America or stay and fight with the unit, while they still have the self-respect and sense of responsibility of a commander Otherwise, they would always fly with the family without saying goodbye. Because of the 20 years of fighting, the fear of death would also haunt the minds of the comrades and well as soldiers. The decision between that moment of life and death was hard to judge. Lieutenant Disarming QUAN was different. He did not hesitate to return alone to the northernmost region of Quang Tri, which was occupied by the Vietnamese communists at the time, to command his unit to overcome enemy lines and safely withdraw to Thuan An to prepare aboard a boat to Da Nang. It was reported that the communists had crossed the Mai Chan River and were entering Hao Tra district to attack Thuy Bien province, causing more panic among people. They were burdening, pushing and stepping on each other on the highway, one to move to the south by road, causing many tragic scenes of death. He ordered his soldiers to leave the boat and return to the shore, turning the unit into a rear guard for people and then crossing the Hai Van Pass with them and arriving safely in Da Nang. Only then did he order to disband the unit of March 28, 1975 in Sun Tra. In those choking, touching moments, no one wanted to be away from him. They just want to follow him to continue to share the lived and dead moments with him. But then they finally followed his advice, returning to take care of their wives and children during the tumultuous time. Then he returned to Saigon alone and presented himself in Gia Din Sub area with Major Nguyen Duc Sai for continued fighting. What a legend of a brave and responsible commander, a young man who dared to sacrifice himself, fighting alone until the last moment, with youth full of dreams and hopes. Everyone wanted to live peacefully with their elderly mother and lover, with a happy family for a long time. The youth of Imperial Duke only give by fighting with such tenacity. He is truly a legend. He is the Big Dipper star that illuminates all the darkness of the world, the lotus that rises from the storm of the fire. He always taught us, always be calm in the face, in words and in actions. Choose a path less thorny to go. Live accordingly to reason, not live by emotions. But he still chose the thorny path for himself and have experienced the worst moments, many times thinking that he was about to lose his life for others. Does he always accept all the sufferings of life so that the future generations like us can receive the best? His life went through so many hardships that he didn't want those bad things for us to experience. His life was only about giving, including his life and honor, including sacrificing his normal desire to be his confidant, the First Lady. Living a lay life without profit, leisurely in the middle of life, so many sacrifices, but he never asked anyone for anything. When he was young, he was a person with a high sense of responsibility, a person living for society. His mother used to comment on him like that when he decided to return to the Quang Tri area to continue fighting with his unit without fear of death amidst the artillery bombardment of the Viet Cong. Amidst the chaos of people, he committed himself to keep safe for the life of each comrade with his wisdom and intelligence. That is the uncharacteristic but human way of behavior of the Imperial Duke in every moment, life and death in his life. This is a style of responsible leader who does not care about his happiness, but for others in all circumstances. It is great. Anyone who is near him is assured, confident, and at peace. And also the style of brave and resilient soldier. Even when the country was lost on April 30, 1975, His Holiness still hoped to find the remaining generals and his units to protect the country. Although his rank at the time was only a lieutenant, his respectable performance was worthy of the heroic general. And today, that legendary hero has re-established the legendary Black Tiger unit into an infinite army, including heavenly soldiers and thousands of horses for justice, peace, freedom, and prosperity, not only for Vietnam, but for the humanity and all sentient beings. He is being petitioned by the people and army to be crowned Emperor of Vietnam.